In 1991, a certain event took place that shook the world and devastated the world's wealthy people and major investors. This is the story of the time when the word .com worked like magic. Many people became very wealthy because of that word, and then, because of that word, they were ruined. Welcome to this video from Infomation-Hub. Before every big fire, there's a small spark that ignites it, and that .com spark was a computer program called Mosaic. In 1992, when the internet was used only for text, Mosaic made its debut and astonished the entire world. It was the very first web browser to start displaying pictures alongside text. This was the spark that set the internet on fire. And behind this work was a young programmer named Mark Andreessen. He and his team realized they had done something very big. They founded their own company, which they named Netscape. In July 1995, Netscape did something that shook the entire American stock market. They began selling their company's shares to the public. He sold his first share for $28, while Netscape's share price opened at $75 and closed at $58 as soon as the market opened. It was a company that wasn't even making a proper profit yet, but a single web browser made its owner a billionaire overnight. Those who bought shares in the IPO saw their investment double in just one day. Many investors and people believed that if a company's name had a .com, it would be very successful. As a result, people started buying the shares of every company that ended with .com. Seeing the success of Netscape, everyone was starting an internet company. Venture capitalists were investing money in every company blindly. It got to the point where, in 1999, 457 companies launched their IPOs, of which most were .com companies, and their shares jumped 70 to 80% on the first day. Seeing this, even the average person was selling everything they had and putting their money into stocks. This was happening under the chair of the American Central Bank at the time, Alan Greenspan. Irrational exuberance gave it the name, signaling that the market was already full of greed. He said it was exactly like blowing air into a balloon that could burst at any moment, but everyone laughed at him because they were all making a lot of money. There was a company called Boo.com. He blew his $188 million on lavish spending. There were many other companies that had no business model, but they had indulged in a lot of extravagance with investors' money. These companies continued to spend lavishly as long as new investors were coming in. They opened a company called Webvan, was also a .com company. In its IPO, they sold 25 million of their 320 million shares for just $15 each. They then used that money to invest in their company, meaning they bought new stores and delivery vans, and to attract new investors, they even hired an executive from Apple. Seeing this, people began to think that this company was making great progress. Happened. What the company had predicted came true. People started investing in it, and the share price doubled and tripled, with the company's valuation reaching $1 trillion at that time. It was a huge amount. Everything was going perfectly, but the balloon that was being inflated was about to burst. To pop this .com bubble, some thorns were in its path. Started to pull their money out of the stock market. At the end of 1999, fear of the Y2K bug led people to start selling their stocks before the year 2000. This was the first thorn in the side of the .com boom. Then, Alan Greenspan raised interest rates on banks, which dealt another blow to the stock market. Now that people were getting higher interest rates at the bank, they started pulling their money out of the stock market and putting it in the bank, which caused new investors, so even the old investors started leaving. And this was the second pin in the .com balloon. Now the third and final pin was inserted by Japan. At that time, Japan was considered a very advanced country, but in 2000, Japan had a news came out saying that since 2000, Japan's economy had been declining significantly. After hearing this, people became very scared and thought, if this is what happens to such a developed country, what will become of us? Then, driven by that fear, people started selling risky stocks. And which stocks were the riskiest at the time? Exactly, .com stocks. The balloon had already been pricked 3 times, and the index, which had been above 5,000 plus in March 2000, had dropped to just 1,000 points. That means if you had invested $1 million, its value would have been reduced to only $1,000. In just the next 1.5 years, it fell by up to 80% to only 1,000 points. That means if you had invested $1 million, its value would have been $200,000 after 2 years. In this entire incident, approximately $2 trillion disappeared from the market. Many companies also shut down, and along with them, people's jobs were
lost. The dot-com dream turned into a nightmare. But from all this, some companies emerged that now rule the entire internet, which include companies like Google.com, Amazon.com, Facebook.com, and eBay.com. This is because they had a good business model. From this, we learned that you should always run a business with your head and first create a plan for it so that you can succeed. Please leave a comment on the video and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any information. See you in the next video. Good luck.